Hello and welcome to Reddit on Reddit, the internet's auditory version of Reddit. I'm now joined by Stary McGee.
Okay, last week I called you out for not staring at me as you did that.
Yeah.
So we just tested it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It was weird.
I like it a lot.
I just sort of briefly locked eyes with you as I was doing it, and then that made me think about it. Anyway, it was weird. It was creepy. Okay, but I've had this realization, right, that I can't remember if I've told you about this before, but so I've said to you and the listeners that I don't really use social media anymore. I only really go onto Reddit if for the show notes and
4chan sometimes just.
And 4chan, yeah, just to see what's
rude
new.
Dark stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, occasionally it'll come up. Often maybe it's like I'm Googling something and the answer is on Reddit. Sometimes I need to go there. But I have also said this in the past, which is that I think a lot of the time people feel like they need to quit social media because it's a time suck. But I have felt that it's actually not a time suck. I'm just doing other useless shit with my time. It's not actually.
You're not using that time to do good things.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just standing there in silence while other people around me are on their social media accounts. Like, I could be doing that. But there's something that I've identified that I really do feel as though I'm missing out on by not using social media. And that is, I feel like I am so often totally out of the loop on stuff around the world.
There's a subreddit for that.
Yeah, I could go straight there.
The irony.
Yeah. Because stuff has to be pretty big around the world to get on the ABC News app.
Your social media of choice.
That's honestly where I get, like, every morning. Yeah. So I get notifications from the app every morning. I'll have a look at the notifications. I might read a few articles. Yeah. If I'm extra bored, I'll go into the app and select some at random and have a read. But and I'll give you an example of this, right? Just the other week, you mentioned to me how Neil Gaiman, author of Sandman, has been a naughty boy.
Yes.
To put it, I think, lightly.
Very lightly, yeah.
And funnily enough, it happened. It came up last night because we were putting books back on our bookshelf, and Ellen said, "I might put Sandman at the back," because even though it's a great book, And I thought, and I had no idea about this, and I thought, it's highly likely that the both of you read this on social media somewhere. It's very likely that there was a post on Reddit, hey, this is what happened to Neil Gaiman, and then everybody kind of knows. But it's not necessarily enough. Like, you're not going to say, like, run up to me and be like, Nelson, guess what happened to Neil Gaiman? You know, but it's just, like, there. And so it only came up the other week because I noticed you have the shrine of Neil Gaiman that you started taking down.
I put that up recently.
Yeah. But I just, it's stuff like that, right? Where I'm like, I'm just out of the loop on it. I just don't know. And sometimes it can end up being a little bit embarrassing that I'm not up to date with again, usually kind of like superficial stuff.
Yep. Is there anything you need me to explain to you? Is there anything that's absolutely baffling you right now?
No, normally it comes up in...
Was the last thing that penetrated the bubble and made it onto the ABC News app like Luigi Mangione?
Probably. I mean, yeah. Where did I see that from? Like, that was a pretty big thing. Yeah,
because that was big on social media. It won't surprise me.
Yeah. And I mean, that I also remember looking at that. I think around the time of our best of Reddit.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was actually looking at a lot of those posts at the time anyway. So maybe, I'm sure it did. It was a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd point out, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should get back, just so I'm like not out of the general loop of things.
Maybe you're seeing posts on Reddit that you're like, well, this means nothing in scrolling past, but really they're a big deal in the social media world.
Yeah, exactly.
The sphere of which this show operates.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a fraud, really. But anyway, let's get into Reddit on Reddit. This first Reddit on Reddit is by Dumb Bitch. Do you know what I've realized? It's actually Dumb Itch. And I've been so rude. I've been so rude.
It is dumb itch.
To call this person a dumb bitch.
You've been a real dumb itch yourself.
Yeah, I think so. 1998. It was cross-posted by Dumb Itch, 1998, but it was originally by that one dude, 111. And this is in
So just the irony of that one dude, 111, would imply that there's 111 other ones.
Yeah. There's a lot of that one dude. I should mention this is in the subreddit. I forgot to copy this, but it was in the something like I think it's the 10th dentist is what it's called.
Okay.
Which I actually thought was a very nice creative name for it.
Yeah. Basing off the thing of like, 9 of 10 dentists recommend this.
Yeah. And it's real. All it is just unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it's maybe a little bit more moderated because, as we've spoken about many times, the subreddit unpopular opinion is people's popular opinions. So this one says, I've always believed we should have a speeding license. Why? Because it's more efficient. If people are willing to prove they can speed without putting themselves or others in danger, they should do it. People with a speeding license would have a second license plate, so you can tell the difference between people who can and can't speed. Sometimes you need to get to work and you're worried about being late. You should be able to speed your way to work without worrying about the cops if you can speed without putting yourself or others in danger.
Would you be opposed to a system, not unlike hard rubbish collection here,
Yeah.
get 2 a year?
I like that.
The classic one is like, my wife's in labor, I need to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
And a
You
lot of the
use your one
times,
on that.
it would indicate that if a police pulls you over, sees that, they'll go, okay, this is an
Yeah,
emergency.
you've got your one. I mean, maybe it can still be something that when you update your registration every year, it's still on the back of your license plate, but there's like an official stamp or something that you have to get because you don't want to be stopped by the cops when you're speeding. You're like, I'm using my one seat. See, I haven't been stamped yet.
Yeah. I think that's a good system. I would also say you can't bank them. You can't not speed for 5 years and then have a week. It's going to absolutely have.
That's the good. And also, there needs to be a threshold in which is considering you are speeding. Because if I was like just going down a hill and was accidentally 5Ks over the limit for like 100 meters, I don't want that to be deducted from my.
There might need to be limits as well around school zones.
Nah.
Just that, like, it's not advisable to you if you can avoid it.
Yeah.
Try not to do it, weekdays between 2 and 3:30 p.m. in school zones or something.
Yeah.
It's that then has to go to review.
Oh,
if your thing gets caught and you've done that, like, okay, we really need to review. You've used your one of your two.
Yeah.
But you did run through that school zone and hit that one
You
kid.
did kill a child. So
you have to review.
We did know this was a risk when we gave everybody.
Did you really need to speed?
Yeah.
Or were you just doing it because you had one left for the year?
Yeah, that's true. You were on day, 364 of you were getting registration renewed. So many people would do that, wouldn't they? They're like, hey, I'm just gonna go out for the day, speed around because I've got my one left. So, is it for the day too, or is it an instance? I feel like it should be a day. I think it's actually more like you apply for the day.
Yeah. Oh, if we're going by the rules of hard rubbish collection, I think it's like, hey, I want to put in for my speed.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, well, it'll be between this day and this day.
Yeah.
At some point there, you can do your speed.
So you can't even do it when you're like, you couldn't even put a time frame because you're like, my wife is due to give labor soon.
Yeah. So you do it if like, my wife is due this week.
Yeah.
My speed will be somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in this week.
One of these days.
Yeah.
And so if you get me on cameras or something during this week,
yeah.
If it's more than once, then you can book me.
You got me.
But if it's just one time, then we know that was when I was using my thing. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think this is funny, right? Because I would arguably agree, right, with this concept in a way. you could give people a license where they're allowed to speed.
Yeah.
But just starting off with the context of what this person, that one dude 111 has said, they would not get the license. I think the thing is, people that should be allowed to get the speeding license are those that would almost never, ever, ever use it.
Yeah.
You know, because you want to talk about like responsible people that are like, you know what, I'm late for work, but that's on me. I'm not going to speed to make up for it because that's what an irresponsible person does. Just the fact that this person has put as a good reason that sometimes you're late for work, so you should be allowed to speed, automatically disqualify you. In fact, that's the test online. It's just like 100 questions of like, when should you be able to speed?
Yeah.
And the top one is
late for work.
And that knocks out 95% of people straight away.
Yeah.
I think
gets there quicker.
Yeah. Even the like wife in labor thing, I feel like has a few layers on it as well.
Yeah,
the idea is like you could die and then kill more people than you.
We should preface it should only be like an unexpected labor.
Yeah,
you should kind of know roughly when the labor should happen, maybe be induced, and you have an idea like, okay, we need to be ready to go.
Yeah,
it's only like, oh, we're out to lunch and the water suddenly broke a week early. Okay, maybe you need to get there quick.
And again, it's that idea of like, well, you can't go 200 kilometers an hour down every street to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
The idea is like you're in a 60 zone. Maybe you could push it to 70, maybe 80, because you're looking at either side and noticing what's suitable or not. I think it's just totally funny that this person is like, I just want to get away with speed. I can speed all the time, and it's like, no, you wouldn't be responsible enough.
That's why they're the 10th dentist. They don't go with the grade.
Yeah, that's right. Stupid idiot. Anyway, let's move on and get into Ask Reddit. Ask Reddit. This Ask Reddit is, it's by Dumb Itch again. Cross-posted to us, 1998, but originally by Bob Ross, #1 fan. If a set of doctors from any TV show had to treat you for a serious illness, which show are you choosing?
I came across this post in the week because I am a big time on social media.
Yeah. You don't like to miss a beat.
Because my immediate thought was like, all right, well, the last medical show I watched, they seemed pretty good. That's what was front of mind.
Okay.
Which for me was The Pit. Last time I watched. I was like, they all seem like good doctors.
Right.
Training doctors, but all good doctors.
Yeah.
But when I went into this, do you know what the #1 answer for most of it was?
I don't know.
It was Star Trek. It's like they have future technology. They have universal healthcare in this universe. It's
super
like,
smart.
I want them to treat me. It's like, oh yeah, that is actually the correct answer.
What's the movie, Cambo, where there's like this inequality thing? It's about people on Earth, and I think people live in a ring.
Yeah. It's called Elysium.
Yeah. That's the one. Because I remember in that, some lady just lies down in what looks like a tanning bed type thing, and it's like, you've got a melanoma. It's gone. That's the one I want.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's the. I mean, I would obviously be living on the planet.
Yeah, I was going to say, the problem is we'd be the Matt Damon characters in that movie.
Yeah, but he gets there eventually.
He does. They're not happy though.
Yeah,
they're not happy when he gets there. They're like, oh, you're one of the gross ones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What's the one?
Surely yours would be House. He'd be rude to you, but he'd fix you.
Here's the thing that I know about House. Kevin, do you know that I don't know if I've told you this recently, but I literally just went through all 8 seasons again. Or 7 seasons? I can't remember. And just on that, I'd like to talk about, it's actually still a great show. Even though it wavers a little bit, I think it is still a great show.
I feel like at some point you and Stacey almost had a fight about House.
Right.
Because I think she said to you, I've been watching House as well.
Yeah.
And you said, me too. And she goes, it's not great, is it? And you were like, what?
Yeah. No, I'm like, it pretty much sticks to the landing the whole time. I think, because Stacey didn't like the fact that he's like misogynistic sometimes, or like, but I was like, but that's, he's not meant to be a nice guy.
I think maybe also from what I ascertained from what she was telling me about it, it was like the more of the formulaic network TV-ishness of it as well.
Yeah. I think do you know what really grinds my gears about that show? is they do this thing frequently where it's like, oh, you said this thing, but that can't be what you really meant, because if you really meant that, then you would have said this other thing. And they're like, well, no, actually, because I thought that you would think that. And the reason why you must have thought that is because it does this like meta layer of like everybody always 100% of the time has an ulterior motive about what they're saying or doing or whatever.
Yeah.
The whole throughput of the whole season, every season is everybody lies. That's the thing. And, you know, makes for some interesting episodes because, of course, if somebody just came in and told the truth, then they'd be like, oh, we've solved it immediately, and that's not an episode. So they have to, like, put in this formula of everybody lies because it's more interesting that way. But I think, like, it's not a perfect show, but I think for all its flaws, it's still a good show. I quite like it.
Would you want him to be your doctor?
No,
because we want Star Trek and Elysium, but
yeah. Obviously those straight away. But I think the thing is, he only takes like really difficult cases, and I sort of think
you don't want to be that.
The
sick.
Chances that I'm going to be that ill are low. But also it talks about like throughout the seasons how incompetent the other doctors are. Like only House can solve even the most obvious of cases. So I feel like in that universe, I'm more likely to get treated by a dumb doctor who misdiagnoses
Who's the
me
dumbest
and I
doctor?
die or something.
Who's that Aussie guy? Is he dumb?
Do you know what? They really do a number on his character because he is very boring at the start. Then he dates the female doctor and then they get married, but then they eventually break up. Then he becomes like slightly more interesting. You're like, oh, you've actually put a personality to this guy. That's great. And then he's obviously the only actor that's like, I'll stick around, pay me whatever. Towards the end.
He doesn't have to get Hugh Laurie money that he was pulling.
He's like, I'll just get whatever. So he just kind of stays on towards the end. And then at the very end, one of the last scenes is that he's taken over Dr. House's diagnostic department. Oh. And realistically, at no point in the season ever was like he on that trajectory. It wasn't like that made sense for him. It wasn't like you saw that and you were like, oh, I'm glad that he's doing that. You know, you were like, why the fuck's he doing that? That's kind of what happened to me when I watched it, which is funny. But anyway, he could arguably be the dumbest. No, there is an episode where there's a doctor from the CIA. She comes in and she's a dumbo, but House is confused because she's sexy. Yeah, that's one of the not so good plot points that they put in there.
Just to be clear, you like this show.
Yeah, I like it. He says what real men think. Anyway. What are you talking about?
I wouldn't mind being treated by the doctors from Scrubs because it seems like that'd be a fun time.
That's
they're always doing wacky
fun
stuff.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, what's JD up to today?
I still think I might die. It'd be a fun time while it's happening.
You'd die laughing.
How about the Firefly universe? Okay, because at the inverse, I've just realized this is the inverse of Elysium, right? Where Elysium, it's like, oh, only the rich people get the best treatment.
1%, yeah.
But in Firefly, it's like there's the rebels, and kind of like the Empire, really. Where it's like, realistically, most citizens are part of the Empire, and they're corrupt in various different ways, but like, you're part of that, and you probably get good medical treatment just for being the regular Joe. I wouldn't be part of the rebels, the brown coats. Cambo, no, thank you.
You joined that galactic empire ages ago.
Absolutely, and they're so advanced in their technology.
Like, and to be clear, we're doing this kind of rule with an iron fist. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah,
make me
I get free. I get free medical care. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, I won't stop you.
Yeah.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Just fix me.
Yeah. I've got a sore foot. Deal with that.
And how do you feel about brown coats? Kill them all.
Yeah.
I'm be honest.
The brown coats want to take away your medicine. What? Hey, get rid of them. No, thank you. Okay, anywho, let's move on, Cambo, and get into Today I Advise.
So now it's time for Today I Learned. What's the intro to that?
Today I Learned.
And also sometimes advice.
This Today I Learned was cross-posted to us by Just Judging Reddit, but it was originally by Tyrion 2024. Today I learned Steven Spielberg told movie stars that if they wanted to work with him, a prerequisite was that they gambled along with him by not taking any salary up front and instead only taking back-end compensation. He said, if my film makes no money, I get no money. They should be prepared to do the same. This was accompanied by a movie poster, and I would like you to confirm or deny. It was, I think, Minority Report they put on there, which obviously Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I just thought this was quite interesting.
Yeah. I will say that Tom Cruise has historically always taken back end for his movies. That's a bad example.
Yeah, Tom Cruise seems so confident in himself and his ability and his movies that
you will notice so much so that any Mission Impossible movie at the start says a Tom Cruise production.
Yeah.
Like it is run by him. But yeah, he learned early on, it's like, oh, it's not the salary you get, it's what the movie makes and the percentage you get from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not the best example for this because he does that with everyone, not just Tom Cruise, not just Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. I would love to have the confidence of that, I think, that you would really try, because I think there's something nice about that in the sense that you have to be sold as an actor.
Yeah.
Or as a director, obviously, in Steven Spielberg's case, that you like the movie, you think it's going to work, you will put in the extra effort when required, and it's not just like, it's a paycheck, it doesn't matter what I do here.
And by the way, this would only be offered to the, as it says, movie stars.
It's not like the extras or whatever.
Even if you're like, I don't know, fourth credited. You're not getting this deal. And really, if you look at any actor that knows their stuff, Margot Robbie's a great example of this. They set up production companies so they can do this. So she did not take that bigger salary for Barbie, but boy, she did it right out of Barbie.
Yeah.
Because her production company made it.
Yeah.
So I would say that if I was an actor, I'd be like, hell yeah. This is what they all say that you should do.
Yeah. I would love to start my career in Hollywood, get my first role and be like, hey, can we use my production company? Something tells me you have to be pretty successful first to start your own production company to then do all this.
You need to be in a certain position to do it.
Yeah.
Here's one that I would love to fact check because I was not aware of this. Normally it's you take a less salary, but you get a back end. This says not take any salary.
Yeah. And again, not a risk for somebody like Tom Cruise.
No. No. But I had not heard of that before where you get paid nothing.
Yeah.
So Robert Downey Jr. took salary. He was the lowest paid actor on the Avengers. Everyone got $2 million and he got something like $500,000. But he had the percentage back end, so he made like $50 million.
Yeah.
I've not heard of it where it's like you don't get paid anything.
Yeah.
I would have thought that the Screen Actors Guild would have a minimum that you need to meet.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Although I imagine if you agree to it, I think, they could
but then it would have to be a
cast
non-union film. If you're going around union rules and it's not union approved, it would have to be a non-union film. So Jonah
do you
Hill,
reckon the union wouldn't have exceptions for this?
yeah, maybe they would. Yeah, I know Jonah Hill was paid $60,000 for The Wolf of Wall Street because that is the minimum union for the whatever position in the cast list he was in was $60,000. So I would have thought you would.
But he wasn't
paid.
getting percentage.
No, he just took minimum salary to be in it. But I would have thought that you'd need to pay them something for work rendered.
Yeah.
But maybe Spielberg has such power. He's like, no, I'll shut down the union.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Not the directors union, though. I need that. One helps me.
It's interesting you say this is for the movie stars only.
Yeah.
And I would say that's only because of the unions protecting the fourth credited or fifth credited people anyway.
Yeah,
because the
that's
point
true.
is, you wouldn't want a bunch of production companies saying, we will offer this to everybody on our cast.
Yeah.
Because that's like a no risk, high reward play for the production companies, basically. Like, I think the reason why they probably couldn't offer it to people lower down is because the unions and stuff are like, no. It could work out well for you, but it could just, you could get absolutely nothing for it and it's not worth it.
Also, why they shouldn't do this is, I don't know how familiar you are with the phrase Hollywood accounting.
No. With James L. Jones? Is that the...
You're so close.
Yeah.
There's two people that played Darth Vader. James L. Jones is the voice, and David Prast is the physical.
Right, yeah.
And David Prast was... they said, look, we won't pay you as much, but you get a back end of The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Now, according to them, that actually, unfortunately, never made any money.
Yeah.
Harry Potter is, I believe, the same. I think Harry Potter runs at a loss, technically, on paper.
Yeah.
If I was a union, I'd be like, do not do this because that movie will never turn a profit on paper.
Yeah, that's right.
And, what do you know? The whole crew can't get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That almost makes it why it's good that, like, Spielberg himself is part of that.
Yeah.
He's not saying, I'm going to take away age, but hey, you should
Yeah.
not take anything. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, literally, if they do some Hollywood accounting, like, I'm fucked too. So
Yeah, that is true. I would say that it's one of those things where if you're, let's say, who's an up-and-comer, like Sydney Sweeney. I'm sure she's doing all right, but she's not in, like, generational wealth level yet.
Yeah.
She probably still needs income to come in to maintain her life.
yeah.
Whereas Steven Spielberg owns DreamWorks Pictures.
Yeah.
So he owns the studio that is producing the movie that he's making with about 50 other movies that year.
Yeah.
So if his one doesn't make money, he doesn't make money from that, but he does make money from the 50 other movies being made by the production company and studio that he owns.
Yeah.
Less of a risk for him than it would be for Sydney Sweeney, who was like, I have money, but 2-3 years' time, I still require money.
But in saying that,
Yes.
if Steven Spielberg was directing a film and asked Sydney Sweeney to be the lead role,
Yeah.
don't you reckon she'd be like, yeah, all right, I'd trust you?
Probably. I would say less so in 2025, to be honest with you. It's been a while since Spielberg's had a really
He's
big...
due for one. He's due for one.
I forgot you asked Sydney Sweeney's agent.
Yeah.
Sydney, come on.
Yeah.
I know he's had 3 to 4 that flopped, but that means the biggie's coming.
Okay, but he's a secret.
I hear they're making Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah.
They made that ages ago.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I haven't really been paying attention.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Cam, I'm actually the agent for a lot of up-and-comers. And I've been trying to... I do a lot of these deals. None of them have paid off yet.
But
But
that
one
just
of
means
them
the big
will
one's
one
coming.
day. One day. Yeah.
But yes, there's always the idea of, like, a lot of the time, the big role that makes someone really famous is not the one that they got paid a lot of money for.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you get cast as a lead in a Star Wars movie, you probably actually technically take less money with the idea being like, but this should catapult you.
As well. Yeah.
It's only ever worked for Harrison Ford, by the way.
Yeah, right. All right. Yeah.
Name another huge movie star from Star Wars.
They
do okay.
The robot.
Oh, yeah, C-3PO does turn up in a lot.
Yeah.
I think he was in the latest season of The White Lotus.
You didn't think about that, did you? No. How about what's her face? You know,
Who?
she's dead now.
Oh, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, that's the one.
Name another big Carrie Fisher movie.
Star Wars 2.
But I reckon every agent's like, look at Harrison Ford, though. That could be you.
That could be you.
Statistically, I'm looking at it and it won't be, but it could be.
How about the Wookiee guy who plays the Wookiee?
Peter Mayhew?
Yeah, has he been in other stuff?
He's been in other stuff.
Yeah, well, there you go.
They've all been in other stuff.
Yeah, but you could argue other stuff he's had his face in. So he has actually improved his career.
That's true.
Really, really took off after being the rookie. Anywho, let's move on into shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts, 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 shower thoughts, 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 shower thoughts, 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 shower thoughts, thoughts, thoughts.
This shower thought was cross-posted to us by Waves of Misery, but it was originally by Brandy Aid. It's a good one. I like that, actually. It's kind of interesting that Australia, the land famous for animals that can kill you in one bite, has one of the highest life expectancies in the world.
The thing that confuses me more about this stat is not that, like we do have the damn animals, but one, this country's huge and a lot of it we're not in, and that's where a lot of them are.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we don't purposely live next to the animals that could kill us in a bite.
Is that like we live below the hole in the ozone layer? And we actually do have a pretty high skin cancer percentage, I believe, in the rest of the world. But the fact that doesn't raise our mortality rate and lower.
Although actually, I think hasn't the hole in the ozone layer been repaired or almost fully repaired?
I think Trump did it.
So, yeah. That's good. No, I mean that's like a totally baseless source. But I've just heard that once, and I've just believed it. So.
Yeah, I do believe it is not as bad as it once was. Yeah. But for a while it was directly kind of above where we are.
Yeah.
So the skin cancer rates in this country are not great. But yeah, I'm so interested in outside perspectives of Australia because I'll be honest, it's a pretty boring country.
Yeah.
It's mainly suburbs.
Exactly. Yeah. We like to pretend like we're something else, but we're really not. I always think it's funny when I see Australian tourism ads and there's just a million places I've never seen before in my life and probably won't go.
Yeah. They look pretty, but
they look pretty, but like even I feel like a classic one is. There'll be these like awesome gorges with like waterfalls, and people diving off the top into it. I'm like, I've never seen that. Like they have like Uluru on the outback, which I have been, for example, but like those really specific like
and stuff. You've got the beautiful gorges and rivers and stuff. Yeah.
Niche places that I'm like, I'm not. That's not us, really, as Australians.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like it's different. Admittedly, I haven't been there, but like. New Zealand, I think it's funny because, again, you see all those places. And I'm not saying that they don't have suburban land as well, but a lot of people are like, that's New Zealand. Like everywhere is really beautiful. Like you go down the street and, there's a huge...
And that's why I think that sometimes what people don't take into account or even sometimes comprehend is like it's a really big country.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff is beautiful, but is nowhere near where we are.
So far away.
And where we live is very standard, boring.
Yeah.
A couple more gum trees, sure.
Yeah,
than you would get in maybe another country. But like, all that stuff that you're seeing, that also for us would take a long time to get to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like visiting another country, basically. Here's another one. This is by Eva Channel 4874. Superman could hear all the sex his parents had in great detail before learning to control his powers. I can't remember why I put that one in. That's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. I hope they address it in the new movie.
Oh, you know what? I've just realized. This is why he has the whole Martha thing with.
He's got those real mum issues.
Yeah, he's got a lot of mum issues, and it stems from hearing his parents have sex.
Yeah, even the fact that he calls his mum Martha and not Mum.
Yeah, that's
something's going on there.
Yeah, because he heard his dad say, "Oh, Martha, oh, Martha," even though he's whispering it. Oh, Martha, he get it. Anywho. Waves of Misery cross-posted to this one, but it was originally by The Smartass One. Mount Everest is still growing, which means every time someone climbs to the top, they're breaking a new world record. Here's the thing. I think that people put too much emphasis on world records. That's not exciting.
I don't believe it's growing. I thought that the base was eroding, so the height from sea level floor to the top was...
Right.
Longer, which I guess is still
I have seen pictures of the top of the mountain and there's a lot of rubbish, which is people's flags from where they've been. Yeah. So I think even just standing on top of that pile of rubbish actually is a tiny bit higher.
Plus, if snow keeps falling on it, it's only going to build up, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really understand the concept of. I've just taken this at face value.
I remember a few years ago they had a report where it was like, oh, Everest is taller than we originally thought, but it was to do with like, oh, they realized that they weren't measuring it from the proper sea base level,
Right. Okay.
because where the ground technically
Yeah.
connects to it was, so it was like,
It's like, where do you measure
and it was
a
like
mountain
4
from?
inches higher than they had originally calculated or something.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that you turn away and it goes. It
Yep.
grows slightly.
Hey,
what are you doing? I had a world record up there. What are you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, if somebody was like, I climbed the mountain, I'm now the world record on it, I'm like, boring. It's been done.
Yeah.
Like, you got a little bit higher.
Also, if someone said to me, I've climbed Mount Everest,
Yeah.
I'd say, what year did you climb it in? They said, 1996. I go, it's taller now, you idiot.
You idiot.
I would still be like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy you did that.
Yeah. Actually, that's crazy. Like, why?
Yeah, don't do that.
You could have died for just no reason other than to tell
I'm not even that
random
impressed.
people that you made it. Yeah, I don't think I would. I'm not one of those people. If somebody was like, hey, want to climb Mount Everest? I'm a believer of, being able to challenge yourself and do something, it sort of put in work to do something difficult that not a lot of people have done or is difficult to do in general.
But
I think climbing Mount Everest is just not on my list.
I would say the first person to climb it, I'm actually blanking on his name, so this is going to be a far less impactful statement.
I think it was Neil Armstrong.
It was Neil Armstrong. When Neil Armstrong climbed it and they said, why did you climb it? And he said, because it was there. I'm like, great quote. I love that it sums up humans.
Yeah.
But you could have just stopped there like, oh, we did it.
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
We climbed it because it was there.
Yeah.
We conquered it.
We don't need to see it anymore.
What are all these people doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Edmund Hillary. That's his name.
No, I think it was.
Oh, sorry.
I think it was
What did
Neil
I say?
Armstrong. You said Edmund Hillary.
Oh, sorry. I meant Neil Armstrong.
You meant Neil
Yeah,
Armstrong.
yeah.
And the reason why
And
he
Buzz
climbed
Aldrin and Michael Collins stayed down the bottom.
Neil. Yeah. Hey, watch. Neil Armstrong. He went halfway up. And then
He's like, hey, I'll get it.
and actually,
I don't think this moment will be that iconic if I'm not there. So you guys go ahead.
Yeah.
People will remember my name.
And some people, very few people. And also actually, people asked Neil Armstrong why he did it, and he said, "Because I want to be closer to the moon." and then that made sense many years after.
I would love it if it was way more cynical, where they're like, "Why did you climb Mount Everest?"
Yeah.
Just to investigate the real estate opportunities.
Yeah.
I thought there might be a real good chance to develop something up there.
People, they might live up there.
Went up there, it was nothing. It was bullshit up there, so it just came down.
I want to talk about that idea of people challenging themselves, right? So I think this is funny because this one's like consequence of death, basically, is what you have by challenging yourself. But I also think it's funny. This is such a random example, but where I think it's sometimes pathetic that people don't challenge themselves a little bit more. Like, by example, I have a really specific example.
Yeah.
This is, I was watching The Hot Ones.
Yeah.
And I saw Ricky Gervais have a go. Mm-hmm. And he gets a little bit through. And he's like, why am I doing this? It's painful, whatever. And he's like, this is stupid and whatever. And in my back of my mind, I was like, but like,
it's
you
like
knew
an hour.
You knew that premise going into it.
Yeah.
You know you're not going to fucking die. Like, just
So
have a go.
What you want is for people to challenge themselves somewhere between hot
Doing
ones
hot ones.
and climbing Mount Everest. Somewhere between there is the middle
between
ground
there.
that you think is the sweet spot for how much people should challenge themselves.
Yeah, because at some point it just seems like so lazy that you couldn't even go that extra little step.
Yeah.
Just challenge yourself a little bit.
But don't climb the mountain.
That's ridiculous.
If you see Ricky at the top of Mount Everest, you're like, you've gone too far the other
Yeah,
direction.
what are you doing here? Yeah. He never would.
No, he never would.
Anyway, all right, let's move on into podnapping.
Oh my God, I'm being podnapped!
Podnapping.
This is Podnapping, where we nap a pod. We take a topic of conversation or a segment from another thing, and we do it ourselves. This week is my week. Have I lost it? Oh, I got it. Never mind. And I stole this from Hazza. She wrote in, to give us an update. Now, what happened, Cambo, is I got this early in the morning. Yeah, she actually sent it at 3:06 in the morning. And then I quickly forwarded it to myself and deleted it from our inbox so that you didn't get it. I'm hoping you didn't peek at it first.
I did not see it.
So I will read the email, which has podnapping in it. Hello, lucky email opener. It was me. I forwarded it to myself. This will either be a great or not so much. It depends on if you guys read/remember your reviews. This is basically a quick quiz of the 5-star random reviews you've been asking for over the years.
We did ask last week, and I'll quote myself here.
Yeah.
A review bonanza.
A review bonanza. This is all part of it.
Did I follow up and read the review bonanza? We will find out.
Okay. So this is basically a quiz of the 5-star random reviews that you've been asking for over the years. The only question... Is this a review of your show?
Okay.
Warning, answers in the email.
Okay, great.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't super participate because I've seen, but up to you. Number 8, underrated movie that is mostly lost to the sands of time. Not an Oscar showing, but different and fun. 3 solid stars as a movie.
Yeah, I think this is real because I revealed that I watched something. What was that? And I remember it really struck a chord with certain people that were like, I'd forgotten about that movie. I for the life of me can't remember what the movie is though.
Was it not Signs maybe? Because sounds
no,
like
it wasn't Signs. It was something real out of pocket, like something really random.
Okay.
It was like A Knight's Tale or something. It was something random like that.
Yeah.
So I reckon this is real.
Okay. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Real. Number 2, why are you discussing people's dental issues and appointments publicly?
Why are we discussing people's dental issues and appointments?
Appointments publicly.
The thing about this show is anything... Would any subject come out and go, no, we wouldn't talk about that?
Like, that's off the table.
Yeah. We would and probably have talked about dental, but I don't remember it specifically, so I'm going to say I don't think this is us.
It's not. It was just a random dental office.
Oh, fair enough.
Here's another one. This show is, like, really funny. I mean, really, really funny.
Doesn't sound like us.
There were episodes where I cried from laughing so hard.
I think this is there to trick us with flattery.
Okay.
And they want us to think it is our show by being like, well, that's how we perceive ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel like our listeners like to make fun of us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say
or talk about movies.
Sometimes we do say, hey, just leave a review of whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I don't see as many. In the time I've looked, it's normally like, oh, Nelson Camber at it again, 5 stars.
Yeah.
It's more pessimistic, so I don't think it is our show.
It's not. It was. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you know I find It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia so hard to get through? I enjoy it as a show, but I reckon I've watched the first season like 4 times at different occasions with the intent to keep going. And I've probably got a few seasons in, but like they've done so many, and I just have done.
I would say, like The Simpsons, there's a sweet spot that's not at the beginning, and it's certainly not current day.
Right,
It is the sweet spot for Sunny.
I've been watching High Capacity. I don't know what it is. It's got the girl from It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah.
She's a consultant, super smart. But anyway, it's fine. It's not good, but it's fine. Okay. Honestly, I am pretty well traveled, but all that is a De Niro sink and a piece of concrete.
Okay, I think this is real.
The structure is literally on a tilt. Like, who the fuck makes a tower that leans? What a loser architect, lol.
5 stars. Yeah. I think this is real because I remember this. We played a podnapping game where you had to guess the landmark by the bad review.
Oh.
And I believe that week we said, rate our show, but if you want, you can just review any landmark you want.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is real.
It is real.
Yeah.
Good job. Too many annoying animals. Can't I just feed the raccoons out back?
This could be the same segment.
the same segment.
As in, like they're reviewing a place but leaving it on our show and reviewing it 5 stars.
Oh, okay,
So I will say it is. Oh, is this a trap? Do they think I'll think this? I'll say it's real.
It is real.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Can't I just feed the raccoons out back? Hilarious. Iconic Manhattan landmark.
Now, this is where I think they are trying to trick me. I think that they've put 2 reviews in that were for landmarks for the joke we did.
Yeah.
And now this one's a trap.
It is. It was for the Chrysler building.
You can't trick me, whoever wrote who wrote it? Hallie?
Hallie. Yeah. Number 7. Mediocre. There are way too many rocks and not even the good kind. My gravel driveway is more interesting than this canyon.
Okay. Now, I need to get into the mindset of Hallie. 2 real, 1 fake.
This is like playing rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I know
Would
you've
Hallie
done the
now
rock.
go back to real? I don't remember it, so I'll say fake, not for us.
It was one of ours.
You bested me, Hallie.
Great place to shop, except for being yelled to when I come to checkout. I always have a great experience.
Not us.
Not us. It was Walmart. I love the idea that
The way it was written didn't seem like a joke. Well, the others clearly are jokes.
Yeah.
Whereas this one seemed real.
Well, this person said, a great place to shop, but I get yelled at when I get to checkout. If you value your life, then don't use this ER.
Not us.
The comment here is legit. This is the ER I would choose to go to if I ever needed emergency care. Well, Hazza, I'm not sure if you should. Somebody's saying don't go there.
So that was
So
not
no,
us?
it was fake. Yeah. That's legitimately the ER that Hazza would ever need to go to.
Yeah.
So. Number 10, there I was, an empty IKEA with a thin layer of milk coating the floor and sexy mannequins everywhere.
This is us. We talked about milk pranks, I believe, in the past.
Yeah, something to do with
We don't even remember what milk pranks was.
Okay.
I think Jason Momoa was somehow involved in milk pranks, if memory serves.
Yeah.
It's wild that any of these could be a review for our show.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So I said this is real.
Okay, yes, it was. Number 11, it was good in some ways, and in others, well, you see my rating. That should tell you all you need to know.
This is very generic.
It could be.
So it could be. But I'm going to say it's not.
No, it was for Beetlejuice.
Oh, okay.
Beetlejuice. Please refrain from swearing.
Oh, this could be us. Oh, that's it?
Yep.
Oh. I'll say it might be real.
It is real. Can I tell you something interesting about this? So, I don't know if I've ever told you about this. When we very first started the podcast, I had it in my mind that I didn't want to swear on the podcast.
Oh, really?
And funnily enough, I think I was the first one to do it because it was part of a post.
Oh.
And I said it, I think. But I had, again, communicated none of this to you, but had justified that in my head like, well, I was reading the post. And then you started swearing in the podcast. And then I was like, oh, I didn't have this conversation with Canberra about I feel like we shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because in the past I've listened to podcasts and I feel like sometimes when they swear, it's like...
It's a turn off.
Turn off. But now we do swear.
If you want, though, we're not far from 450.
Oh.
We can go back to non-swearing if you want.
From 450 onwards.
Yeah. So we really need to get all our swears out in the next two.
Oh, my God. This is going to be difficult. No swearing, Canberra, after episode 450. Okay. So P.S. I also attach proof of my drafts folder that we discussed. Oh, I don't know, like 5 months ago. And proof that I tried to send Podnappings, which is great, actually. I do remember the birds email, funny enough,
Sorry, for
Should
a
I
second
read
there,
these?
For,
Okay.
for a second there, I did think that this was a different review again.
Yeah.
I was like, where's this one going?
No, we're
he's
done.
he's gone back to the email.
Gone back to the
Okay.
email. Sorry. I did not make that clear. I'll
swearing
read the
debacle all over
little
again.
bits that I can see. Hey, this is this email. Okay, but then the next one, Podnapping for the skip week. This is Podnapping where I quiz you on... and then draft. I have a confession. That one's good.
Okay.
Draft. Modern Family. Nelson, you guys got to keep up the ice cold reco. Okay. We understand the context of that.
Yeah.
Modern Family. It's a great TV show. Birds. Gentlemen cunts. Draft, no subject. Hey, I don't think that counts, that one. Draft, important update. Gentlemen cunts, I have been on the... Anyway, it is proof that, in fact, Hazza often starts but then gets distracted easily, which is totally fine. She says, I do remember the birds email, funny enough. In episode 388, please don't throw your bird at people anymore. Nelson read a post about throwing a bird at someone when they were mad. I loved your commentary about carrying around a dead bird to pull out and throw so much that I couldn't burst your bubble. But now I can. It wasn't a physical bird. It was the middle finger, a.k.a. the bird. Oh. I'm sorry, but I think enough time has passed. A few things here. First of all, not enough time has passed.
Oh, well, first of all, the rule is do not fact check this show.
That should be number one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Number two is not enough time has passed.
Yeah.
That really hurt when I read this for the first time and was like, oh. Yeah. But also, thirdly, I've got more things now.
Yeah.
She very much throws me under the bus. And I actually re-listened to the episode. We both think that it's a real bird.
I actually knew and I didn't want to tell
you.
Oh,
yeah. You're really good at faking it, Campbell.
Thank you very much.
And fourthly, the person does say throw the bird. It's flip the bird.
It is flip the bird.
Okay, so how about this, Hazza? Maybe they did throw a bird. Did you think about that? Possibly. Maybe you'd got it wrong. Probably not. But that's not the point.
I'll say, Hazza, I'm not as angry as Nelson. But I just want to make it clear that you are a fuckhead podcast listener.
Ah, yes.
A position we gave you.
Oh.
So please be respectful.
Maybe.
And never, ever correct us again.
I was just thinking maybe that's a perk that we haven't realized until now.
Oh, that's interesting. Because that would make it more valuable.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Okay, you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You can do it. It's fine.
I'm sorry I threatened you in any way.
Yeah. Especially after this bit, Cambo. And just to make this email longer, I have a life update that I believe I am contractually obligated to share. I am having a baby girl in October.
Oh, nice.
It is very exciting and also nerve-wracking given some of the changes going on in the US.
Yeah.
Yes. Overall, though, very exciting and hoping that this continues to be a boring pregnancy. Check it out.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's cute.
Two things. Hazza, come here. It's largely free.
It is largely
You can pay if you want for like a private or whatever, but
I mean, it will be expensive to come over here, get a job and stuff.
I'm going to say less expensive than having any medical procedure done in the US.
Well,
to just uproot your life entirely and move to a new country, probably cheaper.
I mean, if you've got the insurance already.
That's true, actually. Secondly, we know you're a fan of the show, so it's very sweet to make your baby also an October baby, knowing that Nelson and I are.
I'm so excited to see if it lands on either one of our babies.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be pretty cool. But I guess I think I'm reading between the lines, and Hazza wants us to spitball some names. So we've got Ammo.
Yep.
Hazam's son.
Yep.
So now we need to come up with something. Well, we got Ammo from Amir, I believe, is the like technical on the birds.
And I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. Ammo. Who carries that? Rambo. What else does Rambo carry?
Rambo.
Bowie knife.
Oh, Bowie.
PTSD from the war.
Okay, so
a red
little
bandana.
PTSD. Okay, no, but it's also got to be it's got to be Australian too, because that was where we got Ammo. It was about Zimbo, Ammo. We've got Hazza.
Yeah,
we need. Okay, so I mean, let's still go on this line of thinking.
If
Ammo, Rambo,
Rammer.
Rama. Rama. That's not a nice name,
What
is it?
if we're going, because we went Zimbo Ammo. So Hazza, if you were to name it like Amanda, that'd be Azza. Now I don't know if there's actually a pretty intricate kind of system we use to come up with these names. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
But normally it's what's the first letter of your name.
Yeah.
Chuck in a Bo or Azza to that, and you've pretty much got it.
Yeah. Did I tell you about the time just recently? I was walking past a guy and he was talking to his friend and he's like, yeah, I'll tell Jimbo. Sorry, I mean Dazza. Sorry, I actually mean Nico. Yeah. Like it was legitimately like that. Like just an Aussie bloke talking about his mates that have the most Aussie names.
Yeah. It must happen a lot.
Yeah,
I would say that if the baby, I don't believe either of them are redheaded, but if the baby came out redheaded, this would be very confusing to Americans because the very Aussie thing to call a redhead is Bluey.
Yeah.
But now Americans know Australian Bluey is the dog being a blue heeler. But a very popular nickname for a redheaded person is Bluey. Why is it that nickname? Because blue is not red. That is literally the joke.
Yeah.
There's
Could also
nothing
be purple.
to it.
It's all the same.
Yeah. For some reason, Bluey has stuck.
Okay, here's what I think we need. Hazza, we need this is ongoing.
Yep.
We need some
We
baby
will
name
not drop
ideas.
this. We will not drop this.
Yeah. We need some baby name ideas.
Yeah.
And we will give you the Australian alternatives,
Yeah.
the nicknames of those.
Do not try and work this out yourself. It's very intricate.
It's
and it needs
so
the mind of an
difficult.
Australian.
You need to... No, because sometimes you can come up with a weird one in between.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Bluey for red or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there's an intricacy that you can add in to make it a bit more wild.
Stacey's dad is called Rolly. That's not his name.
Yeah.
It's what people call it.
Yep. Anywho, thank you. We kind of did a bit of an AMA there as well as the Podnapping.
Yeah.
Thank you for writing in with the Podnapping.
Therefore, no need to read any other AMA.
No need. We're done. If you would like to write into us, though, you can do so. readitpodcast, readitpodcast at gmail.com. We'd also appreciate it if you could... No, I meant to say other things. Like you can reach us on our subreddit and the Discord. The link is in the show notes.
Yep.
But also we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe
on
whatever podcasting app you're listening to.
Whatever podcasting app you listen to.
It has to be it's a podcast. it prods you to listen to the next podcast. Write this down. Okay, wait, it's the review bonanza. So
we are still in the review bonanza.
I think we should come up with a new thing that they should review while giving us a 5-star review.
Yeah, I will just say as well, I've seen the reviews that came through in the last week, and we got to pump those numbers up if we're doing a full review bonanza.
It's the review bonanza.
Yeah.
We need to whack those 5 stars up there.
Okay, this would help me with a podnapping, so please do it.
Oh.
Leave us a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And review a movie while you do it, but do not put the title of the movie in.
Oh.
I will try and guess what movie it is.
Okay, yeah. Or
give me some clues. Some clues. Can't be like, yeah, pretty good.
Or a review of the last thing you just ate.
Yep.
But don't say which one you've done.
Yeah. And then email us in separately with the answer.
No, I think that's just a mystery the whole time.
Yeah, okay.
We just assume if we've got it right.
We're never going to believe how well we do.
All right, so thanks for listening, and we will read you later.